and like there's always this element of like, is it going to work, right? But then my internet breaks. Oh my god! Like it always does that. It always freezes for like 5 seconds.
Oh, I know.
And
I just noticed that.
yeah, it's like we did an interview with Jeff Lopez,
I know
and
that.
yeah, okay, that's awesome. So he's based out of Texas, right?
Yep.
And he's done like a great job of like making sure he takes advantage of every opportunity. And he went from 0 to like, I think he's at like 70K a month now.
Nice.
And like as we're talking, my internet is just getting like worse and worse and worse. And so like it's all pixelated, the sound barely works. I'm like, no, keep talking. And I'm like clicking all the buttons on the Wi-Fi. Either way, though, I think it's super awesome. You've got an event coming up that we're going to talk about later, right?
Yep.
But in the meantime, I watched your interview that you had with Spencer, and you mentioned to me that you built your whole agency from 0 to 120K a year in like 2 months, right?
Yeah. So basically, what I did was I started out with doing a lot of stuff with MySpace, and so I started out.
That's way back in the day.
Yeah, when Tom was
man.
only friend. Remember when Tom was your only friend?
Tom was my only friend, and you could play with all the HTML settings. You could make the cursor like drag and like have all that. Oh my god, that was so much fun. Yeah.
So we used to do that, and so we started working with like the Jonas Brothers and Demi Lovato because before that I wanted to become a singer. So that led me into networking and meeting all these people. And so I started working with like the Jonas Brothers and like Demi Lovato and like Akon and all these big names, and we were doing their MySpace designs and driving them, MySpace plays.
Yeah.
And so then that led me into, wait a second, I could start an agency and I could start learning how to do Facebook ads. Yeah. And so that led me into learning how to do Facebook, back when Facebook was only for college students, and then you introduced, the platform with, ads. So I learned that, and, I was kind of like trying to get clients for the agency. And one thing that I had learned was that everybody was always trying to nickel and dime you. And, because back then for me, it was like, hey, I run Facebook ads for you. I can generate, leads for you, blah, blah, blah. And, and they're like, well, what are you going to charge? I'm like, well, give me $500, give me $500 of your money and I'll make you some, I'll make you your money back. And they're like, and of course, back then I didn't understand like the whole, like, you need to show ROI, you need to show value. Mm-hmm. For me back then, it was like, dude, give me your money. Like, I want to run ads for you. Give me your money. So that was kind of how, I was learning that I was getting a couple clients with that, and it didn't. So
you were just like, were you like calling people or something? Or are these like your parents' friends? Like, how are you getting your first batch of like Facebook ads clients that are paying you like $500 a pop?
I was actually sending out, it was just like friends. So like one of my friends owned a sign shop. And so then I went to Digital Dealer in Orlando. I went to that and picked up a car dealership. My first car dealership, and
cool.
And the guy's like, have you ever ran car dealership ads before? And I'm like, no. But I'm like, I know, but I've gotten other results for other people. Let me show you what I could do. So he wound up sitting down with me, and we kind of went through what I had done and stuff like that. And he was actually like really impressed. So he wound up signing with me.
Nice.
And so what made me, so that was kind of that phase of it. And then I was like, this is worth a lot more than $500 a month. Like, What the hell am I doing? Like, I can't scale my agency and get where I want to be at in order to at $500 a month, because it takes a lot of clients at $500 a month to get to 10,000 and beyond.
So let's take a step back for a bit. So like you got into digital marketing way back in the day, like, hey, what is this, like 10 years ago, right? Like during MySpace and all that.
Yep.
And you're saying, oh, I could do this for other people, right? How did you get your first client with your MySpace designs? Was that like a referral? Were you just doing it for like a bigger company that didn't know that they could be paying you more? Like, how did you get your first shot?
Well, when I did the MySpace thing, I got into that because I had originally wanted to become a singer. Yeah. And so like that was my true passion, was I wanted to become a recording artist, and I wanted to be, back in the day it was like, I want to be the next Aaron Carter.
Yeah.
And so I started networking with people in that industry. Mm-hmm. So I started emailing like all these management companies. I used all these management companies that I started reaching out to, and started contacting people on MySpace. Like I would find an artist and I would start sending them messages on MySpace.
You just literally send them a message.
Yeah, right? I sent them a message. I looked on CD Baby, found a couple artists, wound up locking in my first client through CD Baby. Locked them into a retainer of like, $3,000 a month, I think it was. I was able to leverage all my other connections for them as well. So like I was able to hook them up with like producers and the MySpace design. And of course, you know, then I knew the MySpace Place thing. So I was able to leverage that.
Oh, so you were just like, you were on your journey trying to become a singer. And then you realized, oh, I could probably make some money doing MySpace. And you're already part of like that network. You didn't have to like break into it, right?
Right, because everybody was already reaching out to me because they realized how good I was at networking. So people started reaching out to me and was like, hey, can you help me out with getting into business? Can you help me out? Can you help me out? And so then I was like, you know, so that wound up pushing me off of the whole singing journey.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I'm drawing the connections. And around this time, Facebook was like really competing. Like I remember when Rupert Murdoch bought MySpace and everybody was like, holy crap, they paid $500 million for MySpace. And within like 6 months, Facebook just blew them out of the water. Like they had tagging before everybody else. They had a messenger chat before everybody else. By the way, now MySpace like either barely exists or Justin Timberlake bought it. Nobody knows what they're doing with it, right?
Right.
But so you did that, and then you said you could probably get Facebook ads clients. You went to a conference, signed a couple people, but you're like, this isn't going to work long term, right? Like I can't keep signing people at such a low rate and doing all the work myself. I got to find more people willing to pay more money and not get nickel dimed, right?
Correct. And I was also doing websites as well. So I was doing websites I was pitching for clients. So I had
you were doing like everything. You're like,
I was literally trying everything. Like I was doing websites. So I was doing the website thing for the recording artists. And so then I was like starting to do websites for businesses. And so then that led me into like working in the drag industry. Yeah. So I was working with like drag queens. And so I was doing websites for all the drag queens. And
it's so funny because so I live on South Beach and the best bar is a drag queen bar. Like,
I'm not surprised.
It is the best. And they have a Sunday brunch and it's guys dressed as women.
Is it Hamburger Mary's?
No, it's called the Palace, right?
Okay.
And I swear it is the best time. I don't care if you're gay or straight. Like I go there, it's fantastic. Like I'm surprised how they wear heels the way that they do. It is like absolutely amazing. But yeah, go on. It's super fun. Yeah.
I'll have to show you a picture of that time that they put me in comedy drag.
What is I think it's called the bird. That's so funny. Like I think it's called The Birdcage, right? Is that the movie with Robin Williams?
Yeah.
So that was based in South Beach, which is where I live. And I watched the movie now. I'm like, yeah, that's the hotel. That's the place. I get it. But yeah, go on. Yeah.
So I was doing websites before all of that. And so I was networking and stuff with those people. And so I was like, hey, I could do marketing for you. So that led me into getting marketing clients. Yeah. So I already had some results that I'd already gotten. So then when I went to the conference, I had already had results for other clients.
Gotcha. So you walked into a conference with, I've built websites before. I've done some marketing for. It's not like a cold start with a conference. You're coming in with like some backbone, right?
Correct.
Gotcha. And the way you got those initial website clients, was that like a friend of a friend, or you were just again like cold emailing, cold pitching, saying I can build a website, it costs you this amount?
It was just all networking.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it was just networking.
Gotcha. And so that got you to where that got you that far, but you realized you had to make a change, right?
Correct.
So
because what I realized is that I wasn't getting consistent income with websites, because when you're doing websites, you're not making a consistent flow of income money. I mean, some months I would have, $10,000 in revenue from websites. Some months I would have 2,000. Some months I'd have 5,000. Some months, it was like, there was no systemization and there was no consistency.
And then you end up doing this. And this is like where businesses have heart attacks, and human beings are not meant for that. They're meant for like this type of motion, not this type of shit. And I remember building websites with WordPress before they had like multi-users and all that stuff. So you could have like, you couldn't have like one account for multiple ones. You had like 10 different accounts. And I always thought it was pretty cool how they like updated with like a cool video and all that. Like they're always jazz themed. And I built like, that's how I cut my teeth on WordPress sites. And I was like, oh my God, somebody just paid me $1,200 or 200 or $2,000. And I'm like, this is amazing. I'm the best person in the world. And they wouldn't tell you that 18,000 changes later, 6 months into the deal, that it's the worst thing could possibly do. Like the less I charged for websites, the worse the client was. So that was just for anybody watching this, like the less you pay is the worst for you, whatever, you know what I mean, right? So just FYI for anybody watching this. Yeah.
Do you remember B2?
Say again?
You remember B2?
No, I don't remember B2.
That was before WordPress. Before it became WordPress, it was B2.
So I came into the place because of WordPress. Like I was like, oh, I could do that. Like I can drag and drop. That was the first drag and drop editor, right?
Right.
So I think B2 was like pre Jeff's time.
It was before that. But so then what I realized is I was like, I want to start getting some consistent flow of income.
Yep.
And I want to start charging more and getting my worth. So I did the whole bullshit that everybody does, like code emailing, like copy paste. I did a whole bullshit. I emailed like 150 realtors, I think it was, and I was like, I just changed the name, changed the subject line, and
like a mail merge for manual.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought I was going to get all these, emails back. That was before Mailshake, by the way.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to get all these emails back and I'm going to close all these clients. Well, guess what? I had maybe 3 clients respond.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is not the way you code email. Like, this is not how you do it. Like, so then I started going through and I was like, you know what? I was like, there's got to be a way to get this done. And so what I started doing was I started contacting companies, like Fortune 500 companies that I was passionate about. So I was looking around. You can literally look around your house and you could see tons of people that you could reach out to.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like I could reach out to Sony, I could reach out to Ninja, I could reach out to Samsung. Like I reached out to Spirit Airlines. Even the poopery, the before you go spray that you spray in your toilet before you take a shit. I reached out to them.
So you were like, I'm going to start reaching out to more expensive people that can pay me more money, and I don't know who to reach out to, but if I like their stuff, maybe it could work, right?
Well, in my mind, it was if you find a problem that you can solve, then you reach out to them. Because if there wasn't a problem that I knew I could solve, I wouldn't reach out to them.
Gotcha.
So I would go in and I would look up the company. I would look up, like, for an example, Spirit Airlines. So, I looked into Spirit. I've flown Spirit. God knows it's an awful experience. But, it's kind of like Frontier Airlines. I mean, it gets you there safely.
And that's
Wi-Fi. So I reached out to the CEO of Spirit Airlines. And they didn't have a Facebook pixel, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
Their site wasn't responsive. So, like, on a big monitor, on my big iMac, like, the big image in the center was, like, white here and white here.
Yep.
And so I was like, hey, and I basically, started it out by personalizing the email.
By the way,
relating to the CEO.
When you just said, hey, I was seeing that in the email, like, hey, with like 7 Ys, right? Like, maybe that would work, but that's not what you did, right? But that's just the idea.
No, that's not what I did. So I addressed the email and I was like, hey, Ted, and I started like, I didn't start the email out with I didn't start the email out with me. I didn't start the email out with we. I started out the email with personalizing it.
Yeah.
So I found something about him and I looked into his background. I looked into like where he went to college at. I looked into like the charities he was involved in, like anything that I knew that would catch his attention and make him read that email.
Yep.
Because the thing is if you can't get them to read past that first sentence or that first word, they're not going to read it.
Right.
And so what people don't realize is like when they code pitch or when they go after clients is that they get hit up a million times, especially when you're going after like these Fortune 500 companies. Like for me, like I was going after companies that were making like $5 million or more in revenue a year because I knew they could pay a $5,000 retainer.
And because they're paying more, they're going to bitch a whole lot less.
And they're not going to bother you as much.
Yep. And
so that was what I did. So I started emailing these companies. So I wound up getting on the phone with Ted, Ted, the CEO of Spirit.
Hold on. Wait. Nobody understands the impact of that sentence. This guy just said, so I was on the phone with the CEO of Spirit Airlines from a cold email, right? Like that may as well have been like the senior vice president of Google. That's like a $5 million company. And you're on the phone with because you sent a cold email that you spent, like 10 minutes personalizing? Is that about right?
No, more than that.
All right. So 30 minutes, an hour? I don't know.
I would say an hour. Yeah.
A solid hour of going from, I know nothing about the CEO of the company I want to pay me $5,000. Spend an hour researching it, doing it correctly, and all of a sudden you're on the phone with him. Yeah,
because the thing is, it's like you get their attention. So when you send an email to them and you're personalizing it, you've literally caught his attention.
Yep.
And so you're giving them a reason to read that email and finish it. And then they didn't have a Facebook pixel on their website.
Yep.
So that was something that I brought into the email. Like, I wasn't trying to sell him. I wasn't trying to come off as salesy. I wasn't trying to like sell him in the first email, because you never try to sell in the first email you send somebody if you're going after these $5 million companies.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't doing any of that. I was like, I found a problem. I kind of told him what I did. I was like, briefly, I'm reaching out to you because I am XYZ. And, and I was like, and I have a few ideas how I could help you, and I noticed that you don't have a Facebook pixel, blah, blah, blah. And so I kind of went into that. And then he wrote me back and he's like, and at the end of the email, I always say, when would be a good time for us to, jump on a call together? I always say that. I'm always like, when would be a good time? When, you always do that. Or usually I'll say, when this week could we jump on a call? Instead of saying, would you like to jump on a call? You're like, you give that call to action. You're like, when this week can we schedule a call? So, he got back to me, and so we did a call, and I went over the fact that he didn't have a Facebook pixel. We talked about it, and he's like, well, let me get with my team and I'll let you know. A week and a half later, guess what? They have a Facebook pixel and he ghosted me.
Shit.
So, I mean, but that doesn't always happen. Like, because I've gotten some deals with a huge fashion retailer that I closed a $12,500 a month client from cold email.
All right. So we got to spend some time on this, because one of the first bullet points was like the 4 steps that took you from 0 to effectively 20K in 60 days.
Yep.
Did you get to 20K in 60 days entirely by cold email?
I got from 0 to, it was actually $10,000 a month in 60 days. So it was 2 clients at $5,000 a month. So and you got $10,000 a month times 12 is 120,000.
Gotcha. So you got to 2 5K clients simply by cold emailing, right?
Yep.
And cold pitching that made them want to buy from you, right?
Correct.
And the first one is personalizing the way that makes sense and gets their attention. Because if you're not getting their attention, there's no shot in hell they'll even read your email, right?
Correct.
And I'm on the receiving end of a lot of shitty, I'm just going to say it, like just shitty cold emails. And I know the Dan's, I know how it works, but I'll get like 5-paragraph emails that are all about how they are qualified. And I really don't care how qualified you are. I care about the problems that you're pointing out that I have, right?
Right.
And so the first part is personalization. The second part is pointing out a problem you can solve. Is there like a part 3 and part 4, or is that like a good summary of them?
I mean, the biggest summary I always say is I always say that when you send out a code email, you want to start it out without saying I. Yeah. You want to have a good, you want to have a good subject line, because you have to be able to catch, the CEO's attention, obviously. And then I would say that, after you have the CEO's attention, you want to obviously, I always say this, when you write a code email and when you send a code email, you have to look at it and read back through it and say, if I was getting this code email, would I respond to it or would I ignore it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I've always done it when I send out emails. It's like, I'll read through it, and I'll be like, okay, wait a second. Would I actually, respond to this email? And sometimes I'll go back and make changes because I realize that I'm not going to respond to it.
Gotcha.
And so, and it's funny too now is because I get hit up all the time, just like you do, from cold email. And I get, hit up with PRs and copywriters and like other marketing people and other website designers. And I'm like, dude, first of all, look at my website. Like, you don't know anything about me. Like, you don't have any idea of what I do. Mm-hmm. And I literally wrote an email back to one of the guys. And I was like, you know what you need to do? I was like, you need to literally like learn from me. Like, I'm like, you need to take my training because you're horrible at this. Like,
I'm trying to cold email. I'm going to cold email you.
Yeah. Right, exactly. I was like, you need to take my training. Here's the link to it. And so that was kind of like how I, and the guy actually signed up.
That's awesome.
More times than not, they don't actually sign up. But I mean, that's literally my email back when I get cold email.
So when you're sending cold emailing to people that can pay you $5,000 or $12,500 a month, you're not doing like a cold email send out that's just sending like 500 a day. Or are you doing that? Or am I thinking about this like incorrectly? Because from what I'm hearing, you want to target people that have the best chance of paying you an F ton of money, which involves CEOs that need personalization. Is that the right way to think about it?
Correct. And that's one thing that I always teach people is that going about it that way, you're going to have bigger success.
Yeah.
Because if you go about it the way where you're using the Mailshake and you're using even, even high level, as much as I love the high level guys, like even Robin and Sean actually, highly recommend not using it for code email.
Yep.
You just get a better response when you actually personalize an email. And I mean, and I know there are some people who are successful with it. I mean, I know there's some people who say, oh, I've done it, I've got responses. And it's like, okay, so let's be realistic. It's like, how many emails are you sending out to get a response?
7 million a day to get 3 responses. And you're like,
right.
Yeah.
And it's like, and of course, I've done, we work with a lot of chiros and stuff too. And even for me, like, I was like, I'm not going to code email chiropractors. I'm not going to do the whole code email approach. Like if I'm going to email a chiro to get them on as a client, I'm going to personalize that email and I'm going to be relatable to that chiropractor. Yeah. If I'm going in that industry, because I do work with the smaller businesses as well. Only because it's easy money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of, and I always say that it's good to diversify your income. So when you're working with clients, like, I like having a lot of the big fish, having a lot of the big people that'll pay like 5, 6, even like my largest client at $12,500 a month, because then, you've got diversity. So if you lose one client, you're not like, oh my God, my income is screwed.
So let's go back for a bit. So let's say you do your research, you find the CEO of a company that can afford to pay you a lot of money. And because they're paying you a lot of money, they just bitch less. I don't know why. That's just how it works, right? So let's say you find it, you're on the phone with them and they're saying, yeah, tell me about the Pixel. What's wrong? What's right? What do you end up telling these people so that they want to pay you money? Because these are strangers. They've got a team. How are you doing so that it turns into a deal, right?
Well, basically, I listen to the client.
Yeah.
So I listen to what their problem is, and I let them do most of the talking. So, so when I'm on a call, we'll have a call and we'll talk, and I'll be like, well, what are you having problems with right now? Like, what are you struggling with? And then that opens up a whole floodgate. And then that's like, like one example with the fashion retailer that I got, this is actually a good example, is that I was getting targeted emails as a guy, and I was getting stuff saying you need to buy high heels.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm a guy. I'm not going to buy your damn high heels. So I reached out to them and was like, hey, I can help you out with targeting email. We can figure out the gender, male or female. And so, and I was like, we can segment your audience. So, and then they emailed me back and they're like, okay, well, you need to jump on a call, CC'd who we needed to talk to within that company. I jumped on a call with them and they were like, okay, so we're having problems with our email marketing. We can't segment, we're not targeting people properly. We're sending mails and stuff, high heels. And so then that led into the conversation of, well, how can you help me out with email marketing? How can you segment my audiences? How can we target them, do targeted marketing and stuff like that?
Yeah. Interesting. So, all right. So the big mistake I used to make, by the way, is somebody would ask me that and I'd try to solve the problem on the spot. Like, all right, open it up, click this button, click that. You wouldn't do that, right? You would say, here's a program that I have that would solve this problem. Is that the right phrasing?
Correct.
Gotcha. So you get on the phone, Mr. Johnson, I found this problem. It seems like it's a recurring theme. What other problems do you have in your business? And you just let them bitch and complain the whole time. Did you have like a form you went through, like onboarding docs, or it was just like a throw it all on the table session?
I just listened to the client, and then afterwards, after I listened to the client, I would say, they would go through all their problems, and I would say, okay, well, here's what we can do to solve those problems. Gotcha. And it's like, I can offer you this, I can do this, we can do X, Y, Z, and then the client, then they always come back and say, well, how much is that going to cost? Mm-hmm. And then that's when I say, well, why don't you let me put together a proposal? Let me send it over to you. And, and then you can review it. And when can we do a follow-up call?
Yeah.
Because I have always learned that you never get off the first phone call unless you set up a follow-up call.
Yep.
Because then you're getting a commitment out of that person. So you're getting them to commit to you. And so when you get that commitment, they're going to show up at that next meeting.
Gotcha. Interesting. And what I like, by the way, is, and this is what happens when you deal with people that have a professionalization around their business. They're not like a sole proprietor. Like they have money and income and advertising and operations. They know stuff costs money. They understand it. They get it. When you're dealing with a small business owner, sometimes it's more like a favor or a discount. Not when you're dealing with like people who have like a real business. They're like, yeah, I get it. It costs money. Just how much does it cost to solve this problem? And then you're saying, great, let's figure out another time to get on the phone. I'll set a proposal and we'll talk about it then. Is that like the right way to think about it?
That is the right way to think about it, because you give them time to digest everything you talk about.
Yeah.
And not only that, but a lot of the time when you're dealing with these, Fortune 500 companies, like in my case, they always have somebody else that they have to run it by, because like in the situation with, the fashion retailer, they put me off to the digital marketer, the VP of digital marketing. And so, then they obviously have to run it up their channel. Yep. And, and especially when you're talking like big retainers, I mean, although $12,500 a month isn't shit when you're talking like, a $10 million company.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so that's kind of the thing. And for me, like, it takes up a lot of balls to be able to say, hey, I'm going to do this for $12,500 a month.
I've never said a number that big, by the way, ever. like the most I've ever said to a real life human being, it's going to be $5,000. And this is my bike shop client. And then like 2 weeks later I say, hey, if you want, we can add on this program for an extra 2. And he's like, okay, so maybe it's like 7. But saying something costs $12,500, it feels like you have owned the room and the confidence, and you're so sure of their numbers that they're like, I guess that's what it costs, right?
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, if you're talking a major fashion retailer and you're talking an email list of over 4 million,
yeah,
and you got to segmentate that audience, and the value of that list is significant.
Yeah, and they're not going to believe. They're not going to believe you can actually do the job if you're quoting like $2,000 or $3,000.
Right.
Like they know that you got to put time, effort, energy into it. You've got other opportunities. They've got to buy your time and your staff. And so I guess the learning for everybody here is when you're like pitching companies with money, you got to charge more. There ain't no other way around it. Like, I don't care if it's the same thing. You just charge more. And I was on the phone, and this happened to Reno, who's in the inner circle, and he's done an interview here. Like, he was on the phone, somebody saying, no, just double your prices and you'll get it. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I know this company, just double your prices. You're not going to believe you can do it. And he doubled his prices, and they wrote him I'm not kidding, a big effing check. Same process, same product, same program. They just wanted to buy his attention and buy his time. And so that's like just a hint and tip for everybody watching.
Yeah, because and another thing is, it's like I was in one of these Facebook groups the other day, and I think it was just last night. And one guy works with real estate agents, and he is charging $2,997 a year, not a month, a year. And I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? Like, I'm charging my agents, like my real estate agents, like $3,000 a month plus $1,000 ad spend, so I'm getting $4,000 a month out of them.
Yep.
And he's like, well, maybe I just have some broke ass agents. I'm like, you either have some broke ass agents or you're not selling them any damn houses. Like,
so that's why he can only charge a little bit, because literally his prices appeal to only people that are broke, right? Like, if you are charging more money, you will naturally appeal to people who can pay for it. That's just one of the weird laws of money and the universe. Like, if you're only charging, I mean, let's just say $10,000 a year, which is on the low end of a Facebook ads contract, you're going to get a certain cohort of people. But if you're charging $10,000 a month, you're going to get a different cohort. And that entirely changes the interaction. All of a sudden, you're the expert. You're telling them what to do instead of them telling what to do. It's like a whole shit show that is like reversed when you charge more money. But let's go back to, you're in the pitch meeting, right? Like, you're saying, hey, this is what's wrong. You're obviously sending high heels to men. That hints at bigger problems of segmentation. Do you have like an official proposal that you send? Or do you just like write it down and say it's going to cost you X dollars per month? Like, how do you solidify that proposalness or that proposal process?
So I lay it out and I show value. So I show an ROI. So I show that, so when you have that many emails, for an example, or even, we can even relate this to, Facebook ads, if you have, like say for an example with Facebook ads, if you're selling a house for somebody, yeah. And you know that you can, if you generate them, let's say 10, 15 leads a month, and they're going to be able to sell, let's say 2 of those houses, what the average real estate commission is, and what you're going to be able to provide them from an ROI perspective. So I'm always usually like, if you pay me, this, you're going to generate, you have the potential to generate X, Y, Z.
Gotcha. That's very interesting, because so I only use a whiteboard, right? Okay. I've never successfully won a deal just because of the proposal. It's always like, the proposal is like the nail in the coffin. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, fine, we're doing this. It's always been the whiteboard and the sales process. And it's mostly like understanding the problem and understanding the steps I would go through and the result that they would get, which is kind of like what you're talking about, right?
Right.
And it's interesting because that's unique. Once you've gone through this like sales process a couple times, there's almost no weight to the proposal. But when you're starting out, you think it's all on the proposal. You spend so much time on the proposal, getting it perfect, but like,
it's not.
It's really not.
No.
It's about making sure that your client knows that you understand the problem. And that's you said it like you just throw it on the table, right?
Right.
You say
you have a problem and you offer a solution.
Correct. It's as simple as that. And I feel like that's very interesting about your journey because you didn't start off with having 30 $1,000 clients, right?
Correct.
The beginning of your journey was getting 4 or 5 high ticket $5,000 clients.
Well, and now we're actually on track to hit $1 million this year, so we're going to hit $1 million this year from the agency. And most of that was, I didn't spend any money on Facebook ads or any money on funnels. It was all by cold pitching, referrals. And now I'm actually just now starting to run Facebook ads.
once I do 7 figures, maybe I'll think about ads. That's so funny. So like let's say you sign somebody, is that always custom work for you? Like you're always doing something different, or you've decided to focus your agency on like segmenting cold emails or something like that? And for me, I have a program, it's called the Wallet Campaign. So it's really Facebook ads. That's my product, right? So do you have several product and programs, or is it really always custom work?
Usually for us, I mean, we're usually mainly doing Facebook ads. Usually that's or lead generation, if you want to quote it that as well.
Yeah.
So, we usually do a lot of that. And then of course we'll do like PPC. So, we'll do, Google ads, not Google AdWords, because now it's Google ads.
Yep.
So, we'll do Google ads, we'll do Facebook ads, we'll do Instagram, we'll do Snapchat. So we kind of all bundle it together as basically like, lead generation or inbound marketing or whatever, however you want to put it. So that's usually what we will sell. But in the case of the huge fashion company, I was more so trying to get them as a client because it was a huge deal. We obviously have done email marketing.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not, bring them on as a client? I found a problem, offer a solution to them. And so now when I go after clients, I go after them for marketing. So like for an example with Poo-Pourri, the Before You Go spray, I reached out to them about running Facebook ads and helping them out with Facebook advertising and, social media and that whole 9 yards.
Interesting. And so what I've discovered is that like by month 3, most of my clients have unconsciously transitioned into a new program. Like, let's say we're running Facebook ads for my car wash, right? We're generating like 3 or 4 or 5 appointments a day, people going in. After the course of a month, they've got 100. After the course of 3 months, they got 300. Like these things like are becoming a real list. So I transitioned from Facebook ads to doing like half Facebook ads, the other half like high ticket, like cold emailing, clean up and cash out. Like, hey, we've got an extra spot for a $500 spot. Did you want to come in today? So do you run different programs like that? Like, are you transitioning, or you're always doing like, hey, we only do this bundle package like Snapchat and Google ads and all that? Or do you transition between different programs, or how do you?
I transition it depending on what we're having success with. Like, usually when we start out with a client, we'll always usually start out with Facebook and Instagram. Especially with like chiros and dentists and orthos and stuff like that niche, we'll always start out with Facebook and Instagram. And then if we know that Snapchat will work, then we'll bring Snapchat into the picture.
Gotcha.
Because Snapchat is obviously very, a very different, a certain audience. So, and you can actually get really cheap advertising on Snapchat.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to compete with Facebook ads, and I know that this is going to sound weird, but my suspicion is that their platform doesn't have as much old people money as Facebook does. Like people on Facebook just tend to have more money than people on Snapchat. That's just a function of age. But that's going to be changing in the next 2-3 years as people just get older with Snapchat. And so I think the money, it moves from Google ads to Facebook, and I'm pretty sure it's going to migrate to Snapchat. So the people that are ahead of the curve are going to get thousands of leads for like $5, right? Which is like absolutely crazy.
Right.
But
so basically that's, with Snapchat, the good thing about Snapchat, I will say is speaking of which, Snapchat just went way up today. Yeah, and I'm actually a stockholder, so I'm like, woohoo, I made some money today. But Snapchat's really cool as well to learn and try to figure out, the ways, the ins and outs of how to use Snap. And everybody uses it. So that's why I think Snapchat is such a good medium that I feel like a lot of people are missing out on, because a lot of traffic is going to move in that direction.
So let me ask you this then. So I can't help but keep going back to like that meeting with that $10,000 a month client, right? And you say, great, it's going to cost you $12,500. I meant to say $12,500. Cost you $12,500. When would you like to set up the next meeting, right? You're always like leave a meeting with the next meeting intact. How do you bug the hell out of these people without being annoying? Because you've got to follow up with like 5 or 6 different people, push it up the chain. It's not his fault, it's somebody else. But if you don't follow up, shit's going to fall to the floor. So how do you be annoying without being annoying, right?
Well, I followed up regularly. And it's actually funny because the first email I sent to them, they actually didn't respond back to me. So it took 2 emails to get an actual response. But when I got when I did send that second email, I got a response back. And basically the whole process is that after I sent the first email, he didn't answer. He responded to me. And then he's like, you need to talk to XYZ. He CC'd that person I need to speak to.
Yep.
And then she was basically like, the one that was trying to ask all these questions, like, who are you? What are you trying to do? Like, what's your intentions? Like, and all asking all these questions. Are you trying to get involved with the team? Are you trying to become an employee? So then that led into that. And then when I wound up offering the information and actually talking about, the problem with the email, then that led me getting introduced and that person saying, hey, you need to talk to Tim. You need to get on a call with him. Yeah. He's got, we've got a problem. He's got a solution. Jump on a call with him. And so then after we had the call, then I wound up sending the proposal. And after the proposal was sent, then I would follow up about once a week. Yeah. Like, and if they didn't respond after that, then I would follow back up again. I'd wait like 2 weeks and I'd follow back up again. Because you don't want to be too annoying. So you don't want to be, and like for me, that kind of can be an issue because I'm very, very, very persistent. And so, sometimes when you're dealing with these big companies, you have to take a step back. Yep. And you have to not be as persistent and realize that they're dealing with a lot of people and they're getting a lot of emails. And so that was kind of my approach to that.
Interesting. And what's funny is that like when you're charging a lot, they're effectively accidentally paying $120,000 a year, right? And they got to make sure their stuff is lined up before they just write you a check, right? The worst thing that could happen is like, hey, yeah, pay you money. And then like, Lance from digital marketing intern is supposed to send you a list, just got fired. So, I mean, your retainer kicks in, so they're just screwed, right? And
yeah, because when I first started, like that was an issue before we got started. That was an issue that they had to figure out. They're like, well, how can we fit you in with our email department? Because they already had an email marketing department. They're like, how can we fit you into our email marketing department? Like, how can we do it while, you still work with them, while you guys work together as a team and still be able to like bridge that gap so they didn't have to fire any employees.
Yep.
That took some time because we're like, we basically had to go back and forth and figure out what worked the best way.
That's super interesting. So the recurring theme that I'm hearing is that instead of targeting $500 or fighting over $1,000, put the same time, effort, energy that you would be, but instead target people all the way at the top. Target people that are making money. Go to the Inc. 5000 list. Start looking up CEOs and send real personalized emails saying, hey, I think I found these problems. If you'd like, we can jump on a call. Let me know when's a good time to talk, right? And all of a sudden, you're talking with the person that's going to pay you, make the decision, is in charge of a $5 million a year minimum company, and can afford to pay you $5,000 or even $10,000 a month. And maybe that takes longer, but it sure as hell is worth it, right?
You know what the funny thing is I did it all from a Gmail account.
And did it all from a Gmail account.
They didn't know my website. They didn't ask for the website. They didn't ask. It was all about the value and offering a solution to their problem and how things went on that call. I mean,
that's so perfect. Like, I think that works so well. And by the way, like for everybody watching, if you've got fear of like previous results, experience, case study, like, I don't know if I'm good enough. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you're good enough. They just want their problem solved. This isn't rocket science, right? Like, they just need somebody to look at this, and you need to charge enough to where it matters and you can put the time, effort, energy into solving it.
Because if somebody has a problem, because if you have to think about it, like if a business owner has a problem, all they care about is generating ROI.
Yep.
Well, at the end of the day, if Bob has a chiropractic agency or even, let's say even, I'm just going to throw out, Pandora, the big jewelry company. I mean, if you found a problem that Pandora has and you offer a solution to that problem, they're going to listen to you. I mean, unless you're sending a typical email that sounds like spammy and shit, and you're like.
So let's use Pandora as a great example, right? Like, I'm on their website. They don't got a pixel. Their website isn't responsive. Their female bracelet ads are targeting me. Something is wrong.
Yep.
Hey, CEO of Pandora, want to let you know I'm a guy in Miami and I'm being targeted with your store from New York for women's bracelets. Pretty sure this isn't supposed to be this way. Thinking that maybe this is across your company. If you'd like, I can solve this problem. When's a good time to chat? Just something like that with some personalization at the top, right?
Right. Something similar to that, yeah.
So what would that personalization look like?
I mean, it really is just like everybody's personalization is different. So, I mean, like if you're pulling up a CEO, a CEO's email address, I mean, you basically just, not email address, but, like his information, you just read the bio. Yeah. And you figure out a way that you can relate to them. And you start, trying to relate to that person in a bio.
Perfect.
But I mean, that's the thing I will say, like, you have to take time. And I feel like that's one thing that people don't want to do. Like, they're lazy. They don't want to spend all this time, like, reading about the CEO. They don't want to read about the company. Like, they just want to, like, dive right into it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and I feel like that when you do that, I feel like that's one of the biggest problems of people. Is that, and not only that, but the CEOs notice it. Like, they know that they're getting spam. They know that, because what you're going to start getting is you're going to start getting emails and they're going to be like, hey, remove me off your list, remove me off your list. And it's funny because I tried that the other day. Like, actually, not the other day, like a couple weeks ago. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this thing. Because the way I look at it is with me teaching co-coaching, I always like to make sure that I try everything.
Yeah.
So I tried it before and I was like, well, everybody's having success with it. Let's try it again.
Yep.
So I used like Mailshake and I sent out this mass email to all these, chiropractors.
Oh, this is for like everybody they could possibly talk to, not like 5K clients, but $1,000 clients.
Right. Gotcha. So I tried that trick. And, and what I realized is people started sending me emails and they're like, can you remove me off your list? Remove me off your list. Remove me off your list. And I don't get those emails when I'm sending out personalized emails. Like, people don't send that. They actually listen. I mean, you're not going to get a response to every single cold email that you send out to a Fortune 500 CEO. But, I mean, even if you send out 20 emails and you get 4 responses or 5 responses and you close 1 client, I mean, hell, you've made your time worth it.
So this is effectively like, I don't want to call it cold emailing, but maybe like high ticket cold emailing, right? Like, you're not fighting over $500 or $1,000. You're fighting over $5,000 to $10,000, which makes it much more worth it. And I think this is something you're going over in your upcoming event in Orlando, right?
That is correct.
Gotcha. So tell me more.
So we are doing an event in Orlando, Florida, called the Marketers Elite. It is a private mastermind group. We're going to have like 40 people there. Yep. We have a lot of speakers that are coming. We have Maxwell Finn. Maxwell Finn is actually going to share a lot of his strategies. He's going to talk about interactive quizzes with Facebook. He's going to talk about how you can use interactive quizzes, how you can generate, outbid your competition with Facebook ads. So he's going to really, dive into, to that side of it. We've got Blake.
Before we go into that, Maxwell Finn has won the 2 Comma Club Award twice, which means he's done it at least $1 million a year twice, right?
Yes, correct. And he's actually done more than that because he made $4 million with the Donald Trump coin.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. $4 million with the Donald Trump coin.
Like, that's insane. He did the Donald Trump coin. Holy crap. Yeah. So he's going to be there. So there's only 40 people. You'll be able to talk to Maxwell Finn directly, like have a conversation, get advice, steal his brain for as limited time that you can, right? Yeah. And then there's Blake Newbar. What about Blake Newbar?
So Blake Newbar actually made it to $1 million in 43 days. He made it to 2 Comma Club in 43 days. And so he's going to share his funnel. So he's going to share like the agency funnel. Yeah. And then, we've also got him coming. He's going to also share a proposal with you as well. Nice. The only proposal that you'll ever need, for as an agency. And then we also have Rachel S. Lee coming. Rachel S. Lee is going to talk about how to monetize YouTube as a business owner, and how to get more clients. And then
before we go into that, Rachel S. Lee also won two Comic Club awards, and she focuses on YouTube. So if you've ever thought, wow, if only I had a YouTube channel, if only I could be as good as her, well, you get to talk to her, right?
And another thing that I realized about Rachel the other day is, because I'm friends with Rachel, is that she actually hit a 2 Comic Club in 20 days.
$1 million in 20 days.
Yeah, they made $1 million in 20 days and 2.7 million in 40 days.
These numbers are so big.
It's insane. and I didn't even know that because we were talking and I was like, yep. She's like, how many days did you say Blake was for the 2 Comic? And I was like, 43 days. And she's like, he doesn't hold it. She's like, we made it in 20 days. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that.
Starting to fight. And then the 2 Go High Level guys are showing up, Robert and Sean, which is cool, right?
Yep.
Doug Bowten's going to be there. He won the Dream Car Award. I'm going to be there.
What's funny about him is that he went from $0 to $103,000 in 60 days with no ad spend, and he did it all from a Facebook group.
Yep.
And he's going to share that strategy. So, I mean, 100, and then you're going to be there. You're going to share a little bit about what you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about how to set it and forget it so you can prove your leads are legit, because every Facebook ad agency is like, we got all these people to sign up, and clients like, nobody converted, nobody's picking up the phone. I'm like, I'm going to give you 3 things that you could do. Like, if you know that conversation is coming up, you have your client schedule, and then in about 15 minutes, you will have all the evidence you need to prove them wrong. And there's somebody in the inner circle named Nick Korm that did it. And he proved beyond a shadow of doubt that his leads are real. The front desk didn't call anybody back. And then he used that to sign the client for an extra $2,000 a month twice. Like that type of like power of that evidence. So I'm going to show you how to prove your leads are legit. And then I'm going to show you the email sequence that you can copy and paste, give it to your clients. That usually improves my lead quality between 30 and 50%. And I'm using for my bike shop to sell $5,000 bikes by email. Like if you just had those 2 things, being able to prove your leads are legit and being able to increase the quality of your leads and get your clients selling $5,000 stuff, you're golden. Like you're good, right? Like it's absolutely fantastic. And then we have Pierce Grimes coming up. I think so also, right?
Yeah, Pierce is actually going to show you how to use LinkedIn. So Pierce is going to show you how to leverage LinkedIn to get clients. They've generated over $10 million for their clients from LinkedIn that they've got. So he's going to go over that as well. And then we also have a VIP dinner that we're going to be doing as well on Friday night. And I am actually buying everybody dinner if you do the VIP. Jeff is going to be there and all the speakers. So you're going to get to actually have dinner with the speakers. And you also get to sit in the front row if you get that as well. And then you get some custom swag. And then I've also invited a professional photographer that's going to come and take professional headshots of everybody.
Oh, very cool.
VIP.
For your LinkedIn profile. Perfect,
yep.
Right?
Yeah. So, and then we might do some origin stories and let people film origin stories. But what I will say is that we are actually going to do ad account audits. So we're going to do live account audits on Facebook for people.
That's fantastic.
So there might be some, sleeves up that. You want to pin the link, by the way?
So yeah, let me do that. And so, how do I pin links?
You should just be able to pin the post.
Oh,
so you should...
That'll do it. Cool. Yeah. So it's pinned now. So I do want to. Do we know how many extra seats we have? It's like only 5 or 10 left, or something like that, right?
So we have 3 VIP seats left, and I'm not sure because somebody just signed up, so I'm not sure if that seats. Gotta love High Level sending me a text message.
Perfect.
So I'll have to look and see. But we had 3 VIP seats left, and we only have a total of 40 seats in the room altogether. So however many seats we have left, I think we're at maybe like 15 seats total that we have left for the entire room.
I want to say for anybody watching this, that's not my affiliate link. I'm just purely doing this to support the group, the tribe, and the journey. I make no money with this, but I do want to say if you're buying on today's live, just PM me and I'll set you up with custom research that writes ads and 2 other mini modules. They're each 60 minutes long. People have paid $300 each for them. I will give them to you as a bonus simply for signing up today, not like tomorrow, but today. So now you have like even more of a reason because you get to meet all of us, have real life conversations. We're going to audit your stuff, show you how to like prove your leads are legit. Talk to Blake, talk to Maxwell Finn, Rachel S. Lee, like everything that you've ever wanted to go from here to here. And I'm going to give you everything that I just talked about. Like it'll be sent to your to your account today.
So and what I will say as well that I want to throw out there is that I have a guarantee behind this event. And with my guarantee, I'm pouring at JR Rivera's. With my guarantee, it is that if you come to the event and if you don't feel like that you've at least gotten 2x the value of the event by noon on lunch, I will personally refund your ticket, your travel. I will give you $100 and I will give you free recordings of the event, all on me. And all you have to do is personally come talk to me at the event and I will give you your money back.
You're like, no, I don't like talking to rich people. I'm out, right? So we got to bring the sucker to a close, right? But I wanted to say, were you open to having 3 like one-on-one like strategy sessions and things like that? So like people that are trying to cold pitch at like a high ticket, are you okay with having like a 15-minute group call with 3 people from this live today?
Sure.
Cool. So if you think that like getting in touch with Timothy and like having a real life conversation with somebody that's closed $10,000 deals by cold email, I want you to hashtag Timothy my face, and I'm going to group invite you guys. It'll be up to him to figure out a time and a place to do it. It'll be a group chat, but I know he's going to make sure that you're taken care of. It's up to him to show that everything you want. But if you want to continue the conversation in a more one-on-one, like a personal level, just hashtag Timothy my face. I'll connect you guys, and you'll literally be talking to somebody that has closed $5,000 to $10,000 deals. So if your agency isn't where you want, learn how to high ticket cold email pitch, and you're going to be jumping up and down.
And not only that, but I mean, at the event itself, what I will say is that, you know, this event that we're doing is definitely for people who are wanting to grow their agency and reach past that $10,000 mark. Because I feel like that's where a lot of people are having issues is getting past that $10,000 mark. And, you know, coming to the event, just imagine what an extra $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month could do for your agency. And you're going to be with a bunch of people who are all successful and who are all making over 6 and 7 figures.
Perfect. And it looks like the ticket is only $297, right?
Until tomorrow, because I'm raising ticket prices.
That's what I was going to say. So ladies and gents, you have until the end of today to get your ticket, claim my bonuses, and make sure you have your seat, assuming, by the way, that there's more seats to take. So it's up to you to take that next step. And I'm sure price is going to like triple or something like that.
You know, what's actually funny is everybody tells me that this should actually be like $997. I've had I literally almost didn't sell a ticket to somebody because he literally messaged me and he's like, why are you doing, how much are you charging for this again? And I'm like, it's $297. And he's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, dude, you should be charging like over $1,000 for this. And
you're like, fine, for you, it's $1,000. How about that? Right? Like deal.
I know, right? I mean, but it's all good. But anyways, what I will say, Jeff, thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much. I look forward to meeting you and, you know, having some wine and getting, you know, somewhat drunk. But
yeah, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be so cool. So kind of in conclusion, I think it's been really cool, like getting in touch and connecting with you. I think your journey is like super awesome because it goes past trends. It's not like Facebook only. It's not ads only. It's you've seen that trend change. You're cognizant of things that are coming up. And you've successfully realized that there is a trap when starting your agency, which is like $500 to $1,000. It's low ticket. They're going to bitch about everything. If you simply focus on higher ticket, there's reasons to follow up. It takes just as much time, and you're working with people that will bitch less, and you'll make a lot more money. And hopefully, like the 3 people that you talk to can see that path and that journey. And if need be, you can just go to themarketerselite.com and take it from there.
Yeah, hopefully you guys come to the event. I look forward to seeing everybody because we are going to sell this bad boy out, and you'll get to meet Jeff and myself and about eight other successful entrepreneurs. So
with that, we got to bring it to a close. Don't hang up, but I just got to end the broadcast. So now we have to like wave until like it says goodbye. So thanks everybody. I'll see you guys later.